Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to our Future of Our People video series. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Anne Martin, who is from, let me get this right, Queen Elizabeth Grammar School, Ashbourne Academy, Multi-Academy Trust, Quegsmat.
Quegsmat. Yeah, it's not Queen Elizabeth's Grammar School Multi-Academy. The Quegs part of it stands for question, explore, give, and succeed.
There we are. Thank you for that.
There you go.
No problem. So first off, well, thank you for joining us, Anne. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy day. Could you first just tell us a bit about Quegsmat and what you do there?
Yeah, so I'm the CEO of Quegsmat, and which just stands for Question, Explore, Give and Succeed. And it's a multi-academy trust based in Ashbourne in Derbyshire. It covers Staffordshire, Derbyshire and Derby City, and we've got 7 schools. We're a mixed multi-academy trust, so we also have Church of England schools in our trust, primary and secondary.
Brilliant, thank you. As I mentioned to you before we started the interview, I used to work in the education system. I was on the other side. I was in the education department. But for me, I'm fascinated to hear from you about leading people in school, well, not just a school, but in like a multiple number of schools, because I can't appreciate how hard it is. Yeah, thank you for joining us. So first off, what I'd like to ask you is that when you look back to when you first became a leader, and everything that's happened since then, what would you say your biggest learning has been?
I would say the biggest thing that I take away, having been in the sector a long time, is that you should always put children at the heart of everything you do. And if you don't do that, quite frankly, you shouldn't be doing it, is my greatest learning. And I think I'm known as a children champion type thing. And I know I've worked with at the DFE, I volunteered to do some work there, and they always would say, you know, what's the impact on children? That's what I would tell them. What's the impact on, why are we doing this? What impact is it going to have on children? Because children have one chance in education, and we have to make sure it's the best it can possibly be, despite all the pressures locally, nationally. Yeah. And it's our duty to do that. So putting children at the heart of everything we do. And I also think, not just about children, but about staff and children, it's really important to celebrate the small wins. Yeah. And to praise and reward, and the power of positive relationships can never be underestimated, particularly in a school. A school sometimes is the only safe space for those children. And we know that we all have baggage when we go to school sometimes in our lives, and so do children. Yeah. And what's important is that we are role models for them, really. Mm-hmm. And when we face challenges, we need to demonstrate how we dig deep. And how we give ourselves positive self-talk. You know, I talk to children about talking to themselves in the mirror. You know, tell yourself you can do it. You know, look in the mirror, talk, be positive about it.
Oh, I love it.
And I think body language, planning, rehearsing, all of those things about rewarding and celebrating those small successes. And the one thing I would say about everything is never lose the ability to laugh.
Yeah.
Because no matter what anyone says, no one can ever stop you laughing, and it's a great tonic. That's what I would say.
So true, especially when when times are tough. That's
you have to find things to laugh at.
I think there's going to be I don't know how you're going to choose one thing in my next question, but what do you see as the biggest challenge when it comes to teacher engagement? Oh, well, staff engagement, not just teachers, and culture in the schools sector.
Time is that's the one thing. If I had to say one thing, it would be time. And it's time. The biggest thing you need to make time for is communication. Mm-hmm. I led a staff inset day on the last day before half term with 150 support staff, and we talked about time and communication. And we actually talked about the power of email and the power of face-to-face. And the power of using the telephone, heaven forbid. Yeah. And
lost art.
You know, you have hundreds of emails a day, and actually, if you got up and had a conversation with people, you wouldn't need about 20 of them, because you'd actually resolve the issue very quickly. Yeah. And actually, sometimes it's really important to go and speak to people and to communicate. But also there's so much change in the education sector. All the time something's changing. There's a new abbreviation almost by the month. There's something new all the time. And so what's important is that you make time to communicate your vision really clearly and the actions that you need to take. And then when there is a change, because it does cause a lot of staff a lot of anxiety when there's anything. And they often hear about it on Sunday evening on the 10 o'clock news. And then Monday morning they're in and they're, one of the latest things, exams going digital. Oh my God, how's that going to work? And all this. And I just say to them, you can only control the controllables. You can't change what's going on out there. But what we can do is we can think, how can we make it work?
Yeah.
And it's really important that when you talk to them, you plan and take them with you and talk to them about, I've stood in front of staff, and explained, I share your frustrations.
Yeah.
I get it. I totally understand where you're coming from. But in order to be successful, we need to plan and give each other time to move together. If you race ahead, you'll turn around and they're a mile behind you.
Yeah.
And they're not with you. You have to keep giving time to communicate, and always, I would just say over communicate. You can never over communicate, just
especially like as you're saying that just those conversations, because that's helping build relationships as well. That's so true.
Really important.
How would you describe, if I was to give you 3 words, or if you had to choose 3 words to describe your culture, which words would you choose?
Do you know what? This is an interview question that children give at my school. They say, if you had to have 3 words, how would you describe yourself? It's strange. It's a similar thing. I would say curious,
nice,
challenging, definitely. And I would say collaborative.
Perfect. Love it. And 3 C's as well. Was that
yeah, there we go.
Nice use of alliteration there. And what would you say you're most proud of when it comes to your workforce, both teachers, support staff, all of everybody?
I'd probably say the thing I'm most proud of is growing our own, I would say. I've had some, I've had school leavers become apprenticeships and now work or have flown the nest, and work elsewhere. So I would say watching people grow in their careers. Some people are so happy in the role that they've got and so satisfied with what they do. But what's still important is to keep developing them within that role so that they can share their expertise like horizontally, if that makes sense, and then, invest in others. It's not just about climbing the ladder. It is about investing in yourself as a person. And actually, when you grow your own, it's not about work. You work to live. End of. That's what you do.
That, isn't it?
It is. And it's important, I think, that when you're investing in yourself, you do make time for your family, friends, your life, and you have those outside, interests. But I think that people who have been in the job maybe a bit longer can actually help those new to the profession to sort of keep that balance going. I would also say when you're thinking about growing your own, it's important to support people along their journey. Sometimes they don't need support with how to do it. They just need support with, sometimes it just can be overwhelming. Everything coming at once. So even when things are tough, reward them, recognize what they're doing. But I would say growing your own, I would say that will be the thing that I'm most proud of.
Brilliant. I love it. What's your next big priority when it comes to your teacher engagement and staff engagement overall, and kind of continuing to build that culture?
I would say a biggest challenge is probably succession planning. Is massive because recruitment and retention is really difficult at the moment, and it's not about money necessarily. It's to do with what's happened really in the sector. And so 10 years ago I could ring a wealth of charities, organizations, people that I knew and I'd built up a network of, and they would come and help. They would come into schools to help people, children, whatever. That so many of those have now gone for various reasons, and then more and more is expected of schools and teachers and support staff, and the pressure on them is great. And I think that actually what's next for us is trying to, I've got more support staff than ever, in terms of helping children with pastoral needs, with mental health issues, all those things now that are you know, really, really a high priority in schools and really tough to deal with. And many, you know, many teachers are not trained to deal with some of the issues that are coming in schools now. So you do need experts to come into schools to help. So I would say thinking about recruitment and retention never goes away from my mind, you know, every day. And I celebrate when people move on to pastures new, because you do need a healthy turnover as well in schools.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you've got to think about who would fill the gap next, who's coming up, what does it look like? And I suppose it ties in a bit with that growing your own, but it's the same with governance, succession planning with governance. You know, that's also a very challenging role in schools because they're unpaid volunteers, bluntly, and the expectations are high from the governments and continue to evolve. So succession planning at every level, it is really crucial. I mean, I'm going 3, 4, 5 times out for adverts, because the people are they're just not out there. And often that's more critical in support staff roles sometimes than it is in teaching roles.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say those are my greatest challenges.
It's really interesting because I do these interviews with leaders across various industries, from manufacturing and engineering to, you know, to legal and all sorts. The recruitment thing is everyone is struggling, but the severity of it, I think, in the school sector, and also I'll say this, like, a lot of it is out of your hands in terms of the influence from the top down, from the government. So in terms of that teacher engagement and that teacher retention, it's tough. I mean, you know, as I say, I can't imagine how tough it is, but you know, it's almost like you're fighting 2 battles rather than one.
You are. I mean, there are certain things you can do. I mean, you can try really hard to try, you know, and strategies to reduce teacher workload, you know, that kind of thing you can do. But at the end of the day, we're not a manufacturing industry in a school. We're a people organisation. We're dealing with people, and our top
people.
priority, yeah, little people, yeah. Our top priority is to meet children's needs, and I've got children from 2 to 19, you know, and it's really important that we try and be creative as possible in a real pressure pot in a school to try and meet those needs. But it's trying to find different ways to do that, and the staff to help to do that with money that's, you know, there's only one pot, and you have to kind of choose where you put that money. So it is challenging. There's lots of elements of fun at the same time, though.
Yeah, and those little kiddies, I bet they give you some smiles.
They do. They absolutely do.
And I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me today. It's been so interesting. I think there's so much our viewers can get from that, and I think for business leaders, it's definitely worth having a watch to hear about the similarities between
definitely
the business sector and the school sector. Thank you very much.
No problem.
And look forward to seeing you all soon.